Hello and welcome back to another FPL video. Today we're taking a look at the transfer tips for the first double game week of the season, which is going to be game week 24. Now we are going to be taking a look at a couple of the double game week players, more specifically the Everton ones, because we did cover a lot of the Liverpool ones last week, which you can see on screen at the minute. We have Gakpo in there and we have Trent, who last week we labelled as buys, and there were two great buys as well, with Gakpo picking up a fantastic 16 pointer if you owned him. Trent picking up a right on the the successful margin with the 5 pointer, and obviously you're getting the double game week out of them both now this week. Unfortunately, the rest of it didn't go as well. The two Chelsea players we ended up mixing up when it came to selling and keeping. Jackson got an assist, which put him at 5 points, and Palmer unfortunately blanked, which gave him a 2-pointer after saying that he would be a keep. Now, with Palmer, I still think he is a good keep. He's still got good fixtures over the next few. With Jackson, obviously we labelled as a sell. His fixtures are still decent, but I do think there is a lot of better striker options out there at the minute. For our avoids, we ended up going for two players who actually done really well last week. The first one being Justin Kluivert. He picked up a 13-pointer. He absolutely played brilliant, and no one really would have expected Bournemouth to go and beat Nottingham Forest 5-0. So I think on paper, it seemed like a good move. Obviously, in the actual grand scheme of things, it was a pretty poor move if you were going to buy him last week. Still think he's a great buy. More specifically next week from game week 25, the Bournemouth players are a fantastic buy. Obviously we had him as an avoid because they did have two difficult fixtures. He's coming up against Liverpool this week. So again, on paper, it doesn't really seem like it would be a good buy. Phil Foden was another one who was an avoid because Man City's fixtures are absolutely horrendous over the next few weeks, but he did pick up a goal against Chelsea, leaving him with a 7-pointer. Now for this week, we're starting off with our first double game week player, and that is Iliman Ndiaye. I've got him down as a big avoid for me this week because no one at all would be buying Ndiaye if they didn't have a double game week, and I really don't think that Liverpool fixture is a great one for to be bringing players in. After this week, I don't really think it's great fixtures either, with Palace away and Man United at home. So I think it's just a case of people trying to get as many doubles in as possible. He's nearly at 250,000 transfers in, and I don't know what people are going to be doing with Ndiaye after this week. I think a lot of people are going to be either instantly selling him after 1 week, or ended up holding on to him for ages and keeping him for the amount of blanks that he's going to get over the next few weeks. Now, when we actually take a look at his stats in depth for expected goals so far this season, he's actually sitting in 26th out of every forward in the game. So there is he's doing very poorly when it comes to XG with the forwards. You can see the kind of names that he's got around him. Xerxes, Nunes is even higher than him. Players who really haven't been in good form at all so far this season. Even in the last 5, he's sitting in 13th, which still isn't too great. It's not awful, but again, not even in the top 10 for XG from forwards, especially when you consider that you can only own 3. There's 10, there'd be 10 more above him that are just doing a bit better. Expected goal involvements over the course of the season as well, he's also sitting in 22nd, so his underlying stats just really don't look great. I think the fact that he's got a Liverpool fixture as well, if it was maybe 2 green fixtures, I would understand why people were bringing him in, but I really don't think he is someone to get for a double game week where one of those fixtures is Liverpool. Again, you can see by his predicted points down the bottom, he's not expected to get any more than 3 over the next, well, any more than 4 over the next couple, obviously excluding this week. So I think if you are bringing him in, you are going to be looking to get him out very, very quickly after this, and I don't think the 2 transfers is going to be worth the points that he gets this week. Someone I do think is going to be absolutely worth it to pick up this week is Bryan Mbeumo. We don't need the stats for him. Everyone knows how good he has performed so far this season. He's up to 7.8 million, and he is due to rise again before the deadline this week. 160,000 transfers in this week, and he's playing against Spurs at home, so a great fixture for them, or for him to do well, and good fixtures upcoming. Brentford are one of the best teams for fixtures between now and the blank game week, which is game week 29. So Mbeumo, Visa, all very good picks that you can possibly look into. Mbeumo obviously on the penalties, a great buy for this week. Me personally, I'm tempted to buy him this week. I think Anthony Gordon would be the one who comes out for me. I may leave it until next week. I've got Gordon against Fulham at home. Still one I'm debating because this is still a really good fixture for Mbeumo. Now, one I'm very surprised to see being transferred in so much is Omar Marmoush. We've only seen one game of him so far, so we really don't have any stats to go off of. He did look great. He did have a really good game against Chelsea, but I think a lot of people are really jumping the gun. You know, he's got 124,000 transfers in already, a £7 million striker. He is locked in price, so he isn't due to rise anytime soon, but his fixtures are still horrendous. The same reason that we wanted to avoid Foden last week. You know, we don't have any. We at least we know that Foden, you know, is good and has been in good form. We really don't know much at all about Marmoush, and he has been brought in by a lot of people just before a run of very poor fixtures, or in the middle of very poor fixtures, obviously with Chelsea last week. But he's got Arsenal away, Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home, the three best defences in this, you know, second quarter of the season, and I really don't think I'd be looking to pick him up, especially the fact that he takes up a forward spot, which is very valuable at the minute. Next up, we have our next double game week player, and it is Jordan Pickford. I think he is a very good pickup this week, only if you need a goalkeeper though. I think if you're sitting here with a nice goalkeeper over the next couple of weeks, I wouldn't really be wasting that transfer. Again, he's 5.1 million. Don't really like to, you know, go above the 4.5 when it comes to goalkeepers, but for that double game week this week, if you are sitting on someone who you're not really liking in goals, I think you could have a very, very good chance of a clean sheet against Leicester this week, and obviously whatever points he does pick up against Liverpool. Everton have been pretty solid defensively this season, and I think he's a good one to buy. He is actually a transfer that I've made in my own team. I've done it maybe 2 or 3 nights ago. I am in a situation where I want to pick up Mbeumo and I want to pick up Visa, but I have the Brentford goalkeeper combo of Flecken and Valdemarsson, so it wouldn't have been possible. So for me, it made sense, you know, go for the double game week goalkeeper, take out Flecken, and that way, you know, it makes room for me to bring in the 2 Brentford attackers. So if you're a similar position, I think he's a really good buy. Personally, I think if I'm sitting here with a goalkeeper that I'm liking, I wouldn't be making that transfer, just because I don't like wasting it on goalkeeper transfers. If we bring up Everton's next few games, there is definitely some clean sheets, some clean sheet potential in there between now and the blank game week 29. So Palace away, United at home, Brentford away, Wolves away, and West Ham away are obviously the 2 green ones in there, which you are going to be hoping for something. Pickford is still sitting in second place for goalkeeper points over the total course of the season. So even if they're not going to be picking up loads of clean sheets, Pickford still gets bonus, he still gets saves. I think he's a really good one, especially with that double this week. It's Chris Wood up next, and I think it is one of those times again in the season where it's time to sell him. I feel like every time it comes up where I feel like Chris Wood just scores, you know, every week, and then a bad run of fixtures come around, and then you've got to sell him off, but you really don't want to. It's that kind of situation again. Kind of difficult fixtures for him. Brighton at home isn't too bad. Fulham away, Newcastle away, obviously difficult fixtures. But again, I just think there's a lot better striker options that you can go out and buy right now in Chris Wood with his fixtures, and his underlying stats haven't been great throughout the course of the season. I don't really think he is one that I'd want to hold through the difficult fixture run. He is due to drop in price as well, back down to 7 million with almost 250,000 transfers out so far, so very reluctantly would be looking to sell him. I think, like I said, there is just a better front 3 that you can get at the minute. And then finishing things off, we've actually got another striker which I'd be looking to sell, and that is João Pedro. 5.5 million, due to drop down to 5.4 in a couple of days. And again, he's just not really performing to the level that you would be hoping for from a penalty taken forward. He's got difficult fixtures as well, with Nottingham Forest away and Chelsea at home over the next couple. And again, same story as Chris Wood, there's better strikers that you can get out there. Pedro is another one who just hasn't really been in the best of form over the course of the season. Obviously, he did pick up an injury. He's missed about 3 or 4 games, I want to say. And his XG, his underlying stats aren't really, you know, too great either. He is up there with the likes of, you know, Armstrong, Nunes, Archer, you know, strikers you would never consider in FPL. For expected goals, even in the last 5, he has another one who's sitting in 14th, so he's actually doing worse than Ndiaye, who we also mentioned to avoid. So he definitely wouldn't be in, my list of players that I would want to have leading up to, a very important stage of the season. Expected goal involvements, again, 18 forwards are sitting better than him for XGI. He does have 5 goals and 5 assists so far this season, but again, like I said, with the fixtures, other than that Southampton away game in the next 5, all of those teams have pretty solid defences. Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Fulham, great defences in there. There isn't many forwards that I would like to own during that period of fixtures, so unfortunately if I do own him right now, he's still 13.6% owned, I'd be looking to sell him. So that finishes up this round of FPL transfers for game week 24. We have no keeps this week. I was looking at the list of, popular transfers out, and the only one that I kind of considered was Raul Jimenez, but he has obviously got that slight chance of a double game week in game week 25, so I feel like it's not fair to say whether to keep or sell him right now until we get a little bit more information. So that's one to look at potentially next week if he does keep getting sold off. But other than that, I think all the transfers out this week were, justifiable. So we've got 2 buys, 2 sells, 2 avoids: Pickford and Mbeumo, Wood, Pedro, Ndiaye and Marmoush. So let me know if you agree with them down in the comments section. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more FPL content, and I'll see you all in the next one.